Good evening, everyone. Hi, everyone. Good evening. It's so great to hear fun voices. I hope you're enjoying the food from the fantastic Blue Heron Bistro Catering tonight. Let's give them a round of applause to Jen and Ted and the team. Thank you so much. I want to start by acknowledging the sovereignty of the Coast Salish people and that we're gathering on their unceded ancestral land. We honor with gratitude the Coast Salish tribe's stewardship, sacred beliefs, and connection to these lands and sea since time immemorial. Recognizing both past and present harms, let's pause for a moment of silence to reflect on opportunities for healing and justice. Thank you. Hi, I'm Christine Gallagher. As chair of the board of directors for the Lopez Island Family Resource Center, it's my honor to welcome you tonight. Tonight, we gather to celebrate the spirit of belonging and the collective power of the Lopez Island community. I'd like to see, as we start, so put your utensils down. I want to see a show of hands, and keep them up once raised. How many of you out there are staff or board members of the Resource Center? And keep them up. How many of you have ever volunteered for the Resource Center? Keep them up. You can't put your hands down. Raise your hand if you've attended this event before. Woo, I love that. How many of you, keep them up, how many of you, this is your first time at this event? Awesome, okay, now take a look around you. See all those raised hands? Okay, you can put them down. Each and every one of you has chosen to be here tonight to lend your support to the Resource Center. This creates a profound impact on the lives of our island community. In a world where isolation and disconnection can often overshadow our sense of belonging, it's truly heartwarming to witness the strength of unity in this room. Your presence alone signifies your commitment to the values of compassion, empathy, and inclusivity. Because of your efforts, the Resource Centers touch the lives of hundreds of children, guiding them towards a brighter future. Specifically, our after-school and summer programs, youth mentorship, and parent tots programs, we have witnessed the children's growth, witnessed the blossoming of their talents and confidence, knowing that we've provided them with the seeds that they need to grow and thrive. And that's all strengthened by our partnership with the Lopez Island School and the Lopez Island Library. Let's give it up. The Resource Center's commitment to fostering belonging extends beyond just children. We're also focused on supporting adults in our community by providing them with the tools and resources to overcome the traumas of addiction and other mental health challenges through programs such as the Heart and Soul Cafe. And through harnessing the power of community and volunteers, the Lopez Food Share has nourished over 300 Lopez households already this year with high-quality fresh food. Tonight, let's continue our collective commitment to the Resource Center in building an island where every individual finds a place where they belong. And we continue the spirit on which this island community was founded, helping each other as a community. So now I'd like to introduce the woman who makes everything happen day in and day out, our executive director, Barbara Schulzeitz.
And I love all of you. Welcome, everyone. I'm so grateful to be sharing this beautiful evening with all the special and wonderful people here. You always fill my heart with joy. The Resource Center believes that one of the most important aspects of leadership is celebrating the many gifts and talents of everyone around us. Look around at all these amazing talents in this room. It constantly reminds ourselves of the richness of our collective humanity. That's so important these days. Another important aspect is sharing leadership. The Resource Center is doing this by supporting the Voices and Visions leaders, our BIPOC, LGBTQIA+, and disability right leaders, the most amazing group of individuals, but also youth leaders such as La CIMA, the School Gay Straight Alliance, and other youth leaders. They're the most powerful group of individuals you can imagine. They are an honor to work with and a constant source of inspiration for everyone on the Resource Center staff and team. These talented leaders recognize that we all need a sense of belonging. We need to feel seen, heard, and understood. With true belonging, we're building connections that open the doors for collective care and compassion. These visionary leaders are creating so many new exciting possibilities, dreaming of a different future where everyone is included and belongs. The Resource Center is grateful for the huge impact that they're having already, and we'll continue to support these leaders' work as it continues to evolve, shaping a better future for us all. The Resource Center wants to share a short video tonight so you can hear in their own words why belonging in their work matters so much to them, and we can all hear their dreams for the future.
Up until about 7th grade, I hid from my friends that I was Indigenous because I was ashamed of it.
When I was a lot younger, there wasn't really anything specifically for my culture.
Since I've been involved with GSA and also as a teacher at the school, I can think of too many stories that the students have shared about times when they did feel like they didn't have that kind of community.
School systems, businesses, entities that operate on a pathology paradigm, which is seeing that neurodivergent folks are to be conformed to be more neurotypical.
We live in a really often isolating and disconnected society, and I honestly can't really imagine what it would be like to be a teenager at this moment.
When they are heard, they're often silenced and covered in order for them to be fixed rather than supported and amplified for the beauty of their differences.
Belonging to me feels like it's a place where you can feel safe, but also you know like who you are at the same time.
For me, it would be belonging in a community of my peers, but also belonging in various communities. So being accepted of, for who I am and the culture that I share and I bring into the community.
It's being able to feel freely, not having to feel like you have to be someone else, that you can be yourself with your friends and your community, wherever you are.
Being comfortable with the people around you and feeling welcome and just feeling like you can be yourself without being judged.
It takes hearing and listening to those in the community to see their needs and their strengths, and creating situations that are openings for people to show up and be a part of each other's lives.
Siento yo que el hecho de que nos tomen en cuenta, de que nos involucren, nos hace sentir queridos, nos hacen sentir que somos comprendidos, pero sobre todo respetados. Y de esa manera siento yo que también nos enseñan a respetar y a incluir otras personas y otros grupos, otras culturas. Y creo que todo eso nos lleva a un balance del éxito hacia la convivencia misma. Entonces, siento yo que sí es muy importante el sentirnos que pertenecemos aquí, que somos aceptados.
I was just out with the 8th graders and I shared with them how important it was at Camp Moran to remember that we're all different. We all come from different backgrounds, and when we understand ourselves and the background where we come from, we're able to accept others.
One of the most exciting parts of Visions and Voices is working with these different marginalized groups and hearing what the needs are. And with all of our events that we plan, we discuss how to be the most inclusive.
Thanks to the Resource Center, they've brought in more things like La Cima, Dia de los Muertos, and Children's Day. Everyone's going to that. It's not just like Hispanic people going. It's like everyone's coming together to this one thing, learning about each other.
As much as we can, we try to kind of let the kids lead somewhat. Like if they have ideas of things they want to do, we're like, okay, let's make some moves toward making it happen.
La Cima has accomplished a lot of things, from getting us together and meeting, building that sense of leadership and having the trust that we all have in each other, and just being able to be ourselves and express how we feel.
I think with our events, we show how much of a community there is for those events on the island.
I shouldn't be ashamed of who I am, the history of where I come from, and that it's okay to be different. And that really brought me into finding ways to encourage and empower Indigenous youth.
For the students here, it's wonderful to see them feel like they have a place where they can be with other kids who feel like they feel, and to kind of create and hold that space for them.
Llegó a nuestras vidas para cambiarnos la mentalidad, tanto como a mí como a mi hija. Ha sido una experiencia maravillosa. La oportunidad que se les brinda a ellos de sentirse seguros de lo que ellos son, de lo que ellos quieren, buscar la ayuda buscar la ayuda que ellos necesitan y saber en dónde buscar la ayuda.
We're learning and discovering and building stronger communities from the people up.
I really believe that we can, especially with this next generation, open up a world of true belonging.
And then there was light. The stories shared tonight remind us that a sense of belonging is not a luxury, it's a fundamental human need. The Family Resource Center is dedicated to creating an inclusive and supportive island. While the Resource Center receives grants, we can't achieve our mission on grants alone. We need your generous donations to make a lasting impact. Your contribution to the Resource Center tonight will help us strengthen the bonds that hold our community together. You'll find envelopes in the middle of your table, and for a check or a credit card donations, and there are white boxes for collection. And for those of you that are techies out there and have your smartphones, there's also a QR code that you can scan. And it goes straight to PayPal, so the techies out there have that. However, I do want to let you know we're not accepting Bitcoin. So no Bitcoin tonight, just QR code or the check or credit card. For those of you who've already donated, we are so deeply grateful for your generosity. Thank you so much. And now, yeah, thank you. We really appreciate that. For those of you who do not know tonight, we have our main program. It's my pleasure to introduce Quaniqua Williams, who's with the Resource Center, and Dr. Marcia Tate Arunga to discuss our stories and stories of belonging. So come on up to the stage. Thanks so much.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I am Quaniqua Williams. I am a poet, and I am the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Manager at the Resource Center. So what I do basically is social justice and racial justice work. In this moment, I'd like to take the time to introduce to you Dr. Marcia Tate Arunga, who is an author, an educator, a cultural custodian, a family matriarch, the dean of Evergreen State College, Tacoma campus. She holds a bachelor's in sociology, a master's in human development, a PhD in organizational leadership and change. Dr. Arunga wrote this lovely book. Marsha Tate Arunga wrote this lovely book, The Stolen Ones, and she will be selling them after the event. I hope you take a copy home with you. Without further ado, I would love to introduce to you Dr. Marsha Tate Arunga.
Thank you so much, Kaniqua. All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Lopez Island. Wow. What a wonderful place to be. What great energy we feel. Thank you so much for this invitation. It has been wonderful so far. I bring you greetings from Evergreen State College, Tacoma campus. Thank you. Yes, where I am the dean of the campus of Tacoma for now clocking 4 years. And I just want to acknowledge my mentor, Dr. Joy Hardiman, who is with me tonight. Yes. Yes. Dr. Hardiman is a original faculty of Evergreen State College, Tacoma, and was also the executive director for more than a decade. Also an author, so just so happy to have her be here with us tonight. And just to celebrate the richness of Evergreen with you tonight. I come as an author, but really the scholarship that I have been involved in is about reimagining society, humanity in different ways. I'm very interested in what has happened with the omission of facts in our history and how that begins to impact certain human beings, especially around self-esteem and who we are as we hold up our self-efficacy. I have 2 stories, which are parables that I want to share with you that I think really bring this home. And the first one comes from a real story, true story, from one of my colleagues. You know, those of us who are in higher education, this was a lecturer who spends a lot of time going to different cities. So she's often a roommate to other colleagues. And so she felt very invited in many places. There was an owner of a home and said, "Hey, come and stay with me. You are welcome. You are invited." And so she was so happy. She felt like, wow, I'm really invited there. And she goes and she starts to set up a few photographs on the wall that she wanted to have be surrounded by. And the person said, "Oh, no, 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 not those photographs. They can't be up there. I have the photographs I've had in the family for years, and that's what should be on the wall." And then she put a few carpets that were very special, woven from the family tradition on the floor. And the person comes and says, "Oh, no, 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 not that carpet. That can't be on the floor because the carpets that I have are very color coordinated. And you know, I spent a lot of money with the interior decorator to make sure that these colors are color coordinated. So not your carpets." And then everything that this person began to want to put to remind her of her home, of her culture, of what she treasured, was not invited with her. And this really speaks to what I think is your theme today, a sense of belonging. In fact, she felt less and less belonging as the things that she wanted to surround herself with were not invited in with her. And so here's the thing about belonging. Belonging is also about how you see yourself expressed around you? What are the images that you have that remind you of who you are? What reflects who you are and where you come from in the place where you are, where you belong? And so I thought that was an important parable to share with you today. The next parable comes from my book, The Stolen Ones, which is called The Stolen Ones. And this was a story that I got from an elder in Kenya, East Africa, when I took a group of 7 women on a visit. And one of our members, team members, who's very organized, always had a photo album. So she tried to explain to this elder that this is a photo of our African American church. This is a photo of the African American school. This is a photo of an African American club. And the elder said, wait, you keep calling yourselves African American. Now, where from Africa do you come from? And, you know, we were all in the conversation by then. We're trying to explain. So I was trying to tell her, you know, we don't know exactly where we come from in Africa because the way of the transatlantic slave trade was very undocumented. It was very scanty records were kept. It just, you know, people were taken from the interior of Africa, not just the coastlines. And, you know, as we were explaining this, the elder got this epiphany and said, oh, you must be the stolen ones. And so we said, the stolen ones, who are they? You know, this is a story I had never heard after living in Africa for more than a decade. And she began to explain that, you know, if you know about the African tradition, children, it's a very oral tradition in which children begin to learn very early their lineage. And so you know your grandparents' name, your great-grandparents, your great-great, and people can go back even 10 generations. In this particular village, the children were taught, always remember the stolen ones. Now, in this particular village, the elder telling us the story, it was a young girl who had gone to the market to sell her vegetables and fruits from her garden, and she just never came back home. And after a few days, and this was the story that the elder really wanted us to know, that after a few days, the parents were so worried they put together a search party. And they called all the men together, and the men went searching. They went not just from house to house, they went from village to village. They went looking for this young girl, and they treasured her. And she wanted me to know that she was looked for. And they looked for her. They even went to the edge of the water, the edge of the land, just like you in Lopez Island with this edge of the water. They went there, and they didn't find any evidence of people having gone away in ships. We know now that they were taken away in ships to serve the purposes of the transatlantic slave trade. And this elder looks at us and says, so you must be the stolen ones returning home. Welcome home. Yes, indeed. And I tell you that story today not because we were the stolen ones. We kind of knew there was some stealing going on. But what we really did, and I had never heard, was that we were missed by the people we were stolen from. And that is when we get this real sense of what is belonging, to understand that we were part of this African family. And even though we had been away for generations, our job now was to be responsible for this homeland, to be accountable to these people that we had met, that in fact they could be relatives of ours. And so that sense of belonging gives you a sense of location in the world. And this is where we begin to understand what it's like. So what I have put together for you are 2 stories. One that talks about a sense of belonging by seeing images of yourself in the walls. I heard that in the film as well. that you have to see yourself, you have to know who your people are, you have to hear the good stories about who they are so that you can stand in efficacy about who you are. And the other part of the story is to understand where you come from, what part of the past that you belong to. And at Evergreen State College, Tacoma, we have an emblem that's called the Sankofa bird. Can you say Sankofa? Thank you. So Sankofa means go back and fetch. Now, go back and fetch is a bird. This is a bird called Sankofa who flies forward, but the head is always turned back. And the parable that goes with this is, in order for you to know where you are going, you first must understand where you have come from. And so with that, I want us to think about where each of us have come from, where each of us bring the best of who we are in our heritage. And by being located in that, how much are we empowered to give to others? I want to just applaud all of you for being here today because you are already giving to your community. That's what this is all about. It's about family, it's about lineage, it's about community building, it's about creating invitation. Now, belonging is not your responsibility. Belonging is the responsibility of the person who feels it. And so the exchange between two human beings, one who extends an invitation, remember to allow some of your walls be changed by that person who has a different sense of what that beauty might mean in their home. So with that, we said Sankofa? Yes. Go back and fetch it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oronga. Sankofa, everyone can say that tonight. Sankofa. I hope I hear that throughout Lopez Village in the next few weeks, so I'm going to challenge everyone in the room tonight to go out and say Sankofa, because it's about community, and this is what Lopez was built on. It was about bartering and sharing, and we are doing that tonight, and we're going to extend that for the rest of the island. And those that are coming on tourists. I saw a bunch of tourists today for crabbing. Come on, we can say Sankofa and welcome them here. So I just want to recognize the contributions tonight for the success of tonight. And I want to call out Stephanie Carricker. Where are you? She's all the way in the back. She has put a lot of, she is planning and executing tonight's event filled with love. We thank her for that. I also want to thank Jen Bacalou and her team for catering tonight's event, among other things. And just among other things, Jen also just happens to run the Blue Heron Bistro and 2 food trucks in the village. No big deal, so she's, yeah. And also for the tireless volunteers who we could absolutely not do without. So let's give everyone a round of applause. I want to thank all of you for being part of this evening and for supporting the Family Resource Center and for believing in the power of belonging and extending your welcome to others. We're so grateful for your support, and we hope that you have a wonderful rest of the night. You can also stay for a little longer because we don't get to gather very often, and see your neighbors, and also extend the welcome to someone you may not know. So thanks again for attending. We so appreciate it.